Well, my name is Viv Vipperman, and I'm excited today to be back on the Back in the Bold podcast. Looking forward to a conversation I've been wanting to have for a very long time. My guest today, YouTube sensation and entrepreneur, Kitboga. Kit, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Dude, I've been looking forward to this conversation. As soon as our team said they were looking at an investment in your technology company, I just got excited. So looking forward to hearing a little bit of your backstory first, and then catching up and hearing, where in the world are you calling in from this morning?
I'm East Coast. I'm a little bit private because I talk to some, I go after some bad guys, which we can get into.
Gotcha.
Yeah, East Coast.
East Coast, awesome. Well, I'm in Dallas, Texas this morning. 100 degrees outside, and glad to be indoors where there's air conditioning. It's been quite a season here.
Yes.
Dude, well, let's jump in. Tell me a little bit of your backstory. I think some people may have seen, podcasts, your YouTube videos, something like that, but who is Kitboga? Like, how did you grow up?
Yeah. I mean, I guess my background, I'm a software engineer at heart. I'm a problem solver, entrepreneur. I remember being in grade school and making little trinkets and inventions to sell my friends, or when we got into high school or middle school, whenever you're using the graphing calculators, I remember I would code games instead on my graphing calculators, and then like sell them for $1 to my my friends. But I just liked creating stuff. Yeah. And then growing up, when my parents would ask me, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And as maybe crazy and naive as this sounded, I always would say that I wanted to change the world and I wanted to do something really big. And so I think, as we'll talk about, I just feel really like sometimes it hasn't quite settled in how much impact we've been able to have through the show, the work we're doing at Seraph Secure, and now the National Fraud and Exploitation Intelligence Network, which we'll all talk about. But being able to have touched the lives and impacted over 1 billion people on YouTube,
pretty amazing,
and now helping financial institutions, it's surreal. So yeah, I would love to talk about it.
Dude, that's incredible. So as a kid, you wanted to build, you wanted to solve problems, you wanted to create things. You didn't have any idea that you were going to do YouTube or get involved in finance and this kind of thing.
No, I think if you would have asked me, I would have said you were crazy. But yeah, so getting involved in YouTube, essentially about 10 years ago, I saw a video. It was a recording of a Microsoft tech support scammer, the guys who claimed that there's viruses on your computer, or that you've been hacked. They were leaving voicemails, and this guy had made a little bit of an automated voicemail system where it would play recordings back to the telemarketers to make them mad. And I saw this video on YouTube of a tech support scammer getting angry, and I'm like, I've never heard of this Microsoft tech support scam before. And then I started doing a little bit of research into it, and I realized, like, I'm a millennial. I'm on the internet all day long. I'm a software engineer. I don't know anything about this tech scam. My parents surely would fall for it. Like if my grandma had dementia, my grandpa had Alzheimer's, they had been taken advantage of quite a bit. Yeah. And so there was this moment that I'm sure you've had where, like, just some spark, where like, I got to do something. Yeah. And this is it. And so I picked up the phone and I just started calling the scammers. And I thought, like, if I spent an hour on the phone with them, that was an hour they weren't talking to someone's grandma. That was how it started.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that it would turn into all this. The quick summary of how that, go ahead.
Well, I love there's some people out there, they see a problem and they're like, oh, that's somebody else's problem. Or it's like, oh, that's sad. Like, it's a bummer that's happening. And we appreciate that. But there's some people that they see the problem and they just say, like, something needs to be done. And by the way, I can do something. I love that you're just like, if it's an hour talking to me, it's an hour not scamming somebody else. Just the simple, like, let me just bog down their phone line for a minute. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
tell me more of the story.
Yeah. So I started doing that, and I kind of wouldn't shut up about it, and was always telling my friends, and one of them said to stream it. We want to watch you talk to these scammers. So I went on twitch.tv, 10 years, probably 9 years ago, and there was 2 viewers, watching me, and some random person saw it and watched, and they shared a clip on Reddit, and it blew up. And I went live I would go live once a week, and there were maybe 20, 30 people there. And I'm like, I don't know who they are. I went and got these glasses, which a lot of people recognize me by these sunglasses. Yeah. I literally went outside and got aviator glasses from my car because I didn't want anyone to know who I was. I didn't want to be famous. I didn't want to I didn't want to have all this following online. And then especially around COVID, it really blew up. So there was sometimes 10, 20,000 people watching at any given time while we would investigate scammers. And it wasn't all about education either. All about entertainment either. I really quickly learned that if I put out a video that said, here's the top 10 scams to watch out for, that not very many people were interested in clicking on that video or watching it. But if I did kind of a funny deep dive where I actually fall for the scam and then I make the scammer angry at the end because I call them out, that could potentially get 1 million views. And now people learn about the scam. So that was sort of the evolution of the show.
Yeah, interesting that you had to be creative to get people to be interested in listening to the whole story. And yet your goal at the end of the day was still educating, still helping the people. I mean, still distracting the scammer from, affecting somebody else's grandma. But doing it in a different way and realizing the power of social media to draw attention to the topic. So when do you realize you're onto something? This is so you're still running your day job. So you're doing coding, you're working for a large company. When do you realize, hey, I need to start spending I can spend more time on this than I am on that?
Yeah. I have learned through this whole process a little bit about noticing those moments and being more in tune with, sometimes you get the vibe, that's probably not the technical term, about something. So it was actually my wife who really encouraged me early on, because I was trying to juggle the job that I had and doing this more regularly, and to the point where now I had basically 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And it was a lot, and we had just had, I think, one of our first children at the time, and so it was just a bit chaotic. But I would, this is where the passion lied, and where I said it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to have tremendous impact. And my wife was really encouraging and kind of said, look, you're a software guy. Worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, just go back to being a software guy, and we'll figure it out. And so I distinctly remember Viv saying to one of my close friends that I worked with at the time, and I said, it's going to be a year. I'm going to take a year off, basically. Yeah. Just let me have a year. That's it. I'm sure it'll be over by then. And now it's been 10. And actually that guy works with us now. He helped co-found one of the Seraph, actually.
Nice.
But I just distinctly remember that, going out to coffee with him and saying, I'll be gone for a year and then I'll be back.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, a lot of people in the influencer space and the people that get attraction on YouTube, they make money from the advertisements, right? But you're starting to go from people who might advertise or the followings and stuff like that to actually building companies around the work that you do. So talk to me a little bit about that transition from, hey, it's not just this thing I do on YouTube that people watch, but there's these businesses that we're starting to take what I've learned and actually do something with it.
Yeah, thank you. So Interestingly, we have thought about, for a handful of years, we were thinking, you see a lot of YouTubers starting coffee companies or like merch sales and like different ways to monetize their audience. I've always felt a bit uncomfortable about monetizing my audience in the sense of
name on a candy bar.
No. I've never done good at merch sales. I don't even ask people to, I never want to ask people to pay money. It's like, it's entertainment. It's something that I want you guys to watch. Just watch it. And at one point we seriously considered starting a tea company. I like tea. I drink a lot of tea. And so we spent about a year developing and sourcing this like really these unique tea blends and all this stuff. And then it came time to start pricing it. And we realized like, this is going to have to be pretty expensive tea if we want to make a profit. And I just couldn't live with like basically saying, hey guys, I want you to shell out whatever it is, $15 to buy this box of, Kitboga tea. And we were going to brand it after Edna as the character. Cause I do different characters. I like change my voice to sound older and different things on the show. But I just didn't sit right. We're like, we don't want to charge people money for it was good tea, but it doesn't really solve, like, what's the problem that it solves? Is that going to change the world? Having a little bit better tea? We're like, this doesn't really sit right. And around that time, interestingly, my friend, a friend of his had walked into a bank and was about to wire $40,000 because they were being scammed. And this was an elderly woman. She called frantically one night because she said the bank teller thankfully stopped her from wiring the money.
Nice.
But she didn't know what to do next. And she knew that my friend John might know because of the work that we do. And so we're on this conference call. There's like four or five of us on this conference, and she's frantic and she's crying and she doesn't know what's going on. And we're trying to explain to her, you need to get the scammers off your computer because the scammers are, and like, this is work that we've done for whatever, something like 7 years. We know intimately what scammers do. And we spent maybe an hour trying to help her and made almost no progress because she doesn't know much about technology.
Right.
And she's scared. She didn't even want to touch the computer, Vip, because she had just gone through this. And that was the moment where we said, wait a second, like, this is Seraph Secure. This is that we could make to genuinely help people. Something that the world needs. We didn't see it out there. Like, there was no solution to this problem, essentially like cleaning up someone's computer after they've been scammed. And so we said, like, that's it. That's where we need to go. And then, of course it progressed, and we can get into all the other adventures we've had along the way. But that was the spark for, it wasn't necessarily, hey, I'm a YouTuber, I want to find another channel of income. It was very specifically that we wanted to help. And I'll always say this, I'll be short. As the channel has grown, it's almost 4 million on YouTube now, and it's just crazy, the millions of followers. The number one message I get is not, Kit, I love your videos, you're so funny, or whatever. It's help me. My family has lost everything. And that wears on you after a while to just say, sorry, there's not much I can do, report it to the police, and kind of know that the police aren't really going to have much that they can do. And so all that was sort of right place, right time, that spark of, we could do something about this. And now we can reply to those messages or reach out to the community and say that we have a tool. We have something that can help.
Dude, that's awesome. It's like you finally get a moment where you realize, like, that doctor that's the surgeon or whatever, and it's like it went bad on the table, and unfortunately the family member is like gone. It's like day in and day out living that, knowing the reality of life and how hard life can be for some folks. It's brutal, and it wears at you as a person, I imagine. But knowing that there's now hope. I still remember talking to an HSI, like Homeland Security Investigations guy, that had been in the fight against human trafficking for 20 years. And he was just
Yeah.
like, day in and day out, all they do is fight these horrible people that are treating other people horribly, and selling them. And he said he participated in a thing that we're involved in and got a chance to have a great conversation with him. And he was like, for the first time, I actually feel like hopeful that we can win this thing. And it was that moment was just like, boom, like we're going to keep going and going and going and going, because you finally feel like the impact that you're wanting to have, it actually can change somebody's life, that there can be hope, and that grandma doesn't need to be taken advantage of the next time. So all right, so you see the problem. People are getting scammed. Can you go into what that is for somebody who's listening to the podcast? Go into what that typical scam looks like, just in case they haven't heard yours yet.
Sure.
Most likely they've heard yours first, but let's just say if they don't know what the scam process is, and then the solution that you guys are actually creating, that's what I want to get into.
Yeah, we could spend an hour or two, and sometimes I do this, talking just about that question. So I'll try to give a really high level. So the scam that we were talking about in particular, and there's the Microsoft tech support scammer, a government imposter, maybe even a fake investment advisor. They will manipulate you with some kind of story. Maybe it's that your funds in your Fidelity account have been compromised in some way. Maybe they send you an email that looks like your account is being closed because of some tax compliance issue. Another really popular one is on something like Facebook or a different social media platform. They run advertisements that look harmless. Sometimes they even look like there's a notification. And when you click it, it takes you to a page that takes over the screen, and it has warnings on it and really loud lights or loud sounds and lights that say, your computer's been infected, call this number. So you've bought into this idea that there's a really big problem and that you're talking to the right place.
The person who's going to help you.
Yep. They play the hero. And one way or another, doesn't matter what the scam is, a lot of them these days will guide you to install some kind of tool on your computer or device. They will essentially kind of hack your brain and manipulate you into installing a free software that isn't even a virus. Something like TeamViewer, AnyDesk. If you've ever remotely controlled your computer before for work, it's a tool like that.
Just a basic,
Yep, and Microsoft even comes with one called Quick Assist. It's just right there in the computer. So they use legitimate tools, but they tell you that I'm going to help you secure your Fidelity account by installing this software. And now you've let them onto your computer. And at that point, what I tell people is whether you get scammed or not. So in the case of my friend, she ended up not getting scammed because she found out the bank teller warned her. But the criminal is still basically has their hooks in you, because they can look through your webcam, they can read any file. They can use your computer just like you can. That's the idea of the software, is that you could control your computer anywhere in the world. So now they can watch you and spy on you, and we've had cases, Vip, where someone had been spied on for years, and the scammers built a unique scam just to target them specifically. Oh. If you imagine basically someone stalking and spying on everything that's going on your computer. So that's the big part of what Seraph did from the beginning, is we built a tool that would clean and wipe your computer clean of all of those remote connections, so that if somebody got scammed, we could say, well, hey, at least make sure that John, one of the co-founders, talks about it like a first responder. Like, if they show up and you're bleeding out, we have to stop the bleeding. Like, we have to it would be kind of silly to put you on. Yeah, to just put you in the ambulance and drive you to the hospital. Like, basically the analogy being, okay, take your computer. The bank tells you, let's change your passwords and get you a new bank account. well, if the criminal's still on your computer and on your phone and stuff, like you didn't stop the bleeding. Yeah, you never stopped the bleeding. So that was the start. We ended up making that free because we felt like it's something that the world really needed. And again, felt a little uncomfortable charging for it because to us it was something that it's just this evil in the world that needed to be dealt with. But from there, we realized like that was kind of reactive.
Yeah.
What if we could be proactive? And so that's the other half of Seraph. The paid version is it will monitor your computer. And if my mom tries to download this software, she'll get a notification. It won't allow her to install it. She'll get a notification about how she's being scammed. I'll get a text message that says your mom's being targeted by scammers. And then we started adding a lot of other features that I could get into, things like blocking scam websites. So we use AI and different tech that we've built to look at websites that you're on to see if those are scams, and a whole bunch of other features. The idea is essentially that we don't want anyone to come up against the scammers that we've learned about over all these years. I've talked to over 20,000 scammers in the past 10 years, and I've come across some truly evil people, and I don't want my mom to ever have to get involved in that. And that's Seraph.
Awesome, dude. I love it. So are you guys like selling that direct to consumer, like through your website, or you guys, is this something like, hey, we're taking it to like the Microsoft or whatever, when people buy a computer, it's going to automatically be on the platform because we want, like, everyone should have this kind of a thing.
Yes. Yeah, so we do go direct to consumer, but I would say the main push has been kind of the latter half of what you were describing. So we have some really exciting, I can't say them yet, but we have a couple very large financial institutions here in the U.S. that are going to be launching this very soon, to where that their members, particularly the ones that have been caught up in scams or fraud, can now use this for free. Like cool. Basically the financial institution will pay for it on their behalf. And that's something that we're really excited about because, of course, it's just such a problem where people are losing billions of dollars here in the U.S. and they often wind up at the bank asking, "Can I get my money back?" or "Can you help me?" And typically they can't. And so we're finding that that's been a really great match for us. Is now the bank is able to equip their customer or member with a tool that can protect them, and they feel better taken care of instead of just kind of tossed aside and said, "Good luck, we can't help you." And then, of course, from our side, we know that now they're going to be protected from scams. The other really big market for us is IT companies, computer repair shops, managed service providers, because they see it firsthand every day. Even small town shops with like small in the middle of nowhere that only see 4 people a week come into their store or something, or 4 people a day. They're saying the number one reason that someone brings their computer in is because of the fake virus pop-up, because of the scam. And so they are offering Seraph to their customers as well.
Dude, I love it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Why do people do the scamming? Like, I mean, you've talked to 20,000 of them.
Yeah.
It's grown. My assumption is it's grown significantly in the last 10 years. Why? Like, have you like 2 or 3? This is probably why people do it. I have some thoughts, but I'm fascinated to hear what you think.
I mean, it's complicated for sure, and I wouldn't say that my expertise lies in the sort of geopolitical world, but for sure some of it is things like poverty and access to like infrastructure and architecture. So if you think about certain parts of the world, they already have the buildings and the tech to do things like call centers, and it's difficult and competitive to get a job, and there's a lot of poverty. And so when you're a student, particularly a young kid, can't really find that great of a job, and someone's offering you 3 times the rate Imagine getting out of college and being offered 3 to 4 times minimum wage, let's say, or the average wage that your friends are making, housing and food to scam people. And that's kind of the situation that we're in. So I think that's certainly part of it. And then you also have, there's this, like, I think a bit of a problem as well is that there is just a lot of, I don't know if it's misinformation, but the people look at the West in particular as just these wealthy countries.
Yeah.
And so the scammers sometimes psychologically think that they're Robin Hood. They're like, oh, I'm stealing from the rich and giving it to the poor. And they've almost psychologically told themselves, this is fine. Like I've talked to some of them, and they've said, like, oh, whatever, they just assume, like, you're in America, you're a millionaire. Like that's their, I think sometimes that happens too.
Dude, interesting. So you're finding that sometimes people are choosing to be in this role. Like they think it's a good business opportunity for them to get a job doing this work. They don't, I mean, there's some people in America too who do dirty jobs or who do different types of things, and they're just like, hey, it's the stuff that puts the food on my table. That's what I'm going to do to survive, because I'm taking care of me and these people. I'm not worried what happens to the people on the other end of the work that I do. And then there's the other people. I mean, it seems like these days, like there's for the lead scammer, as it were, high reward, low risk. Yep. So they can make a lot of money, and there's very little chance, it seems like, that someone's going to get them, as it were. Because like you said, once they've got the money, it's too late.
Yes.
And so higher risk, low reward, and they're kind of anonymous in a sense, so they're getting away with something, and there's no reason for them to stop. So what do you think about, like, what are we doing about that? Like, as a whole?
Yeah, such a good questions. I also want to call out, I think it was another great question that we could talk about for a very long time because it's nuanced. I've also seen, just to add on to the previous question, this big change in the scammers used to ask me to go buy a $100 gift card. Now they want to log into my Fidelity account and steal my life savings, right? And we've seen this.
They've gotten greedier.
It's greedier. It's almost this industrialization of scams, and cartels are starting to do scams. City states are funding scams, and so the second half of my answer is there are also people who, as you probably know, particularly in Southeast Asia, people get there's human trafficking involved in scams as well, where they will literally steal humans and force them to do scams. Just as a quick call out, the videos that I produce on YouTube very specifically do not target those types of scams, because I would feel often the scammer ends up being kind of the butt end of the joke, and I would feel really gross if I, knowing that that's a human that was forced to do it. Yeah. So I investigate those behind the scenes, but anyway, okay.
No, that's really helpful. There's two groups, right? There's the person who's doing it for the money because there's high risk and low reward, and then there's the person who's being forced to do it because they have no choice. They've got something over them. They've grabbed hold of them and literally hold them in slavery or hostage. Yeah. There's some people that are doing it because they have no other choice, so they don't want to be in this situation. So how are we getting, like, obviously you want to take down this guy, right? Yes. And you want him to get his just and right, punishment. And for this person, you don't want them to keep scamming, but you obviously want them to be able to get out of the situation that they're in. So help me understand, like,
how do we fight back?
How do we fight back?
Yeah, lots of ideas, lots of things that we're working on. And, I think if we were to summarize, okay, where are the scammers? How are they doing this? Why are they doing this? The money. It's right. There's billions, if not, I know some estimates say if you were to take not just the the dollar amount that was taken, but the impact, the financial toll that it has on the market. You know, that person can't buy a car now or whatever it is. The family has to now take care of them, all that it could be something like $1 trillion that was lost from the US over the past few years to scams. So yeah, how do we fight back though? Well, to me and some of our co-founders, part of our theory is we got to hit them where it hurts. It's a business for them. It's money, and they're moving a significant amount of it. So part of what we learned through the work that we're doing here is like, well, how they move money. And our team, we're on these calls with scammers every day, and they tell us to wire money or use Bitcoin or whatever it is. And a few years ago, I got this idea, like I wanted to clone myself. This was for a YouTube video, so bear with me. This was before ChatGPT, so maybe like 5 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I thought, like, well, what if I could just make an AI that could like use my voice, and I could talk to scammers when I was sleeping? That was the idea. It was partially just a video concept, and we pulled it off. You know, I have a software background, and I had a friend in the community who helped me, and we built this. You know, this was pre large language models, pre ChatGPT. This pretty simple AI that could listen to a phone conversation and respond in a voice that sounded, it was actually just pre-recorded messages of myself. And we made this YouTube video, and you know, it maybe got a million views or something cool. But as we were doing this, the AI, one of the scammers gave the AI a Zelle account to move money through.
Ooh.
And we thought this was just a funny joke, right? Like, let's make an AI to mess with scammers. But when it gave us like a bank account and it gave us a Zelle account, we're thinking, oh,
that's tied to somebody.
Like, this is part of the problem. And so when we talk, like, going back to, okay, how do we fight back? One of our key thesis is that we need to stop the movement of money. And so, and that's how I met Ian Mitchell, who you guys know very well. If you don't know, listener, please look up The Noble and some of the work that Ian has done in the past. We met at a fraud conference 2 years ago. I was showing off the bots and just how we've been able to talk to scammers, waste their time so that their bottom line gets hurt.
Yeah.
Like they're wasting more time on the phone. They're not able to steal as much because they're talking to synthetic, humans.
Right.
But also we extract bank accounts and financial details of how they're laundering money. And Ian, like, when we were talking, was like, that's huge. Like, he really helped me understand that the financial world, that financial institutions and law enforcement need that and could utilize that to fight back. And so we also, as part of Seraph, with Ian, founded the National Fraud and Exploitation Intelligence Network, which is a platform that we built together with these bots and a network of different financial institutions and law enforcement to, as soon as we collect financial tokens from a scam conversation, to be able to pass that directly to law enforcement and banks to do things like freeze the funds and prevent people from being scammed. So
using that accounting game.
Yeah, I would say that's like our big push right now. Is it's having an impact because millions and millions of dollars now are funneling through these accounts, and we can stop it. And so we're very excited about that.
Well, and you can imagine if banks nationwide all use the same platform, and then things were immediately stopped. Eventually, risk goes up and reward goes down. At least in our conversation so far, reward goes down. Like, if they can't make as much money. On the risk side, are you guys seeing like the actual like scammer get taken down? Are we going to that level, or
I would love to
still
say
like
yes.
a day in the future that we're going towards?
I think that it's still a bit of a day in the future. We're seeing some progress. Like, look, there's some great stuff being done, and of course there are compounds that are shut down and call centers that are raided, and it's good work that's being done.
It's amazing,
right?
Yeah.
That's excellent. it's a war, and those are just part of the battle.
Yeah.
There's so many scammers, and it feels like you're playing whack-a-mole. I know and they're good people who are trying, but some of the, even like federal law enforcement will tell you that they're 2 or 3 years behind. And they have to, by the nature of volume, they essentially have to filter by dollar loss. And so if you lost $100,000 today, Viv, you just won't, it
doesn't matter.
The sad reality is that there's very little help for you. And I think that's a big part of what our heart at Seraph and NFEIN and our team and co-founders want to be a part of that solution. And so we've been talking to large bank network groups and financial organizations, law enforcement, even a lot of this is the work that Ian is doing, but I can't say some of the names, but even international now. Okay. We've been connecting with some groups, and there's this vision about protecting entire countries, or working with large international organizations to be able to share this data so we can fight back. Because if you lose $100,000, part of the problem is that nobody knows about it except for maybe your local police department.
Right.
And so part of the solution too is making sure that data can be shared across the entire network. Because if that scammer, someone in Alabama and someone in Massachusetts, if we combined it, well, now it's a multi-million-dollar scam. And they're actually targeting people in Canada too. And there's a group in Canada that already have a case active against. Anyway, you get the idea of part of it's just sharing all of the data. And so that's a core part of what we're doing as well.
Well, and building trust. It seems like you've got to, because it's such a scam-filled space, you've got to work really hard to build relational trust with these different organizations to actually overcome the problem and get them to work together. Yeah. It's fascinating. Yeah. Wild to think the path that you took to get to the place that you're in. It's just amazing to see, in a 10-year period, how much has happened. And how far you guys have gotten. I want to get to what do you think the next 10 years is going to look like? Because I'm really excited to hear about where you think it's going. I do have to ask, you mentioned voices, you mentioned different characters. There's that side of you that just has fun doing your job. We love our jobs. Tell me a little bit about that side for just a second. How did you decide to do that one day? And what is, Yeah,
I mean, I think it was somewhat of an accident. I was live streaming, and again, the goal wasn't to become a YouTuber. It was just this. So I've gone back and watched some of those old recordings, and I'm just learning live. Yeah. I'm calling this scammer. I don't know what's happening, and sometimes I've even saying I don't know what they're gonna do next. Yeah. And so it was not as entertaining, let's say, as it might be now, because now I know the script better than the scammer does, and so I can cut them off or kind of do some funny things. But I think I just learned pretty early on that, again, people were way more interested in laughing. It's my grandma would say, laughter is the best medicine. Well, maybe not. maybe your doctor at the hospital wouldn't say that, but I get the vibe. Right. And well, if I did a little bit of an accent and I sounded older or something like this, and I took I would just play with ideas, and the community that was watching live would feed into that, and they would say, "Oh, what if you're I don't know." So
they even started giving you ideas to try different characters and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so that was a big part of it. Was the community said, "Well, what if you were an old lady and had a cat or whatever? You have a cat that keeps pouncing on the keyboard or purring into the phone," and sometimes that would make the scammers upset, but also make for some comedic moments. So
Comedy relief. I got
I kind of fell into it. I always liked Whose Line Is It Anyway in improv shows, though. That was like growing up, I would watch a lot of that stuff. So.
Well, I was going to ask you. You never mentioned I did voices as a kid, or you were an actor, or something like that. That wasn't a part of your childhood story.
Not really. I just, for a long time, whenever I heard a voice on a show or like a movie or something, I would try to mimic it. I don't know what that is, but I've just always liked voices. So that's the closest. I never did anything in school or any training.
Yeah, not reliving your like high school drama class year.
Right.
That's awesome. So amazing to hear the story of just your YouTube influencer work. Your like the voices, the creativity, the technology. But talk to me a second, just like Kid the entrepreneur. You now run a business. You have more than 20 employees working for you. What is it like? What are some of the lessons you've learned as an entrepreneur, like building companies?
Great question. I don't often get asked that because I think of myself as a problem solver. I don't think of myself as much of an entrepreneur, although obviously I am at my core. Maybe I'll answer with a bit of a story or something that I think guides my life. And I don't know if this is the best advice or not, but I'm a big fan of sort of like mythology and stories and ancient ideas and things like, if anyone listening knows Joseph Campbell, he did all this work on studying like myth and like old legends. And anyway, so you might know like the quest for the Holy Grail, or that idea of like the Knights of the okay. So he had dissected this work, and I know this is like turning into a long answer, but it's been a big part of how I think about things. So there's a moment where they gather together and they're thinking about where they're going to go to find the Holy Grail. And they say, well, they should basically start looking at the place in the forest that is darkest to them. And I find that as something that I think about a lot, and I talk to my kids, where if we're trying to find light or the solution to a problem or do good in the world, sometimes it means you have to go to the darkest places. Sometimes you have to dive headfirst into places where no one's ever gone before, and you kind of just have to. Backing the bold, right? You have to boldly go into a place where literally no one has gone before, and you have to take up the torch and say, like, I'm gonna do it. And so I think a huge part about the way I think about business and just even being a dad or being a person on this earth is finding ways to look at places that seem dark to me and see if I can find the solution. Because I think uniquely or interestingly, part of that story or that idea is that for you, the forest, the darkest part of the forest looks different for everyone. And so I think that we're all sort of a part of this problem and solution together. And that if everybody was going to the forest where they saw it was darkest, perhaps the world would be a bit better place. So when I think about business, when I think about what I tell my kids, and how I make day-to-day decisions, a lot of it is think outside the box and try to, I'll use bold again. Go boldly into to the darkness and see if you can find a solution to something. I don't know if that directly relates to what you should do as a business owner, but that's a core part of how I think.
Part of your story, yeah, that's awesome. When I lived in Asia, there was a phrase that actually Mao Zedong used. It was 心心之火可以燎原. It's one of their like idioms, like Chinese idioms, and it was basically like a bunch of little lights, like little stars, like could light an entire like field aflame. And it was that idea of like in those dark, enough of us going into those dark places with the light could actually transform this place. Now, he was talking about spreading communism across China. That's not our goal.
Okay.
But
I get the idea.
The concept the same. Yeah. I was like, man, it was pretty amazing. And
you can still apply that.
Yeah. And there's a lot of places in life. Well, very cool. Well, tell me a little bit about where you think it's going. Like in a future world, like NFEIN grows, Seraph Secure grows. What does the future of this look like? In a perfect world, what happens in 5 to 10 years?
Yeah. So we look at the like scam timeline, which we can't necessarily get into for the sake of time. But the idea, in short, is even like on the like a military term, left of boom, boom being when the incident happens, when someone loses their money. So we look at this timeline and we think about how far to the left of the problem can we get. There's telecom, like someone gets a text message, there's the telco providers, there's ad services, there's all these little touch points along the way before someone loses money.
It's like a supply chain almost. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's a business enterprise that these scammers have. So we are trying to attack multiple vectors, essentially, along on the left side. Some of them some of the data that we collect, for example, is sometimes 90 days before a bank would have learned about the scam. So that gives them months of lead time to freeze the accounts or shut down accounts before victims would have reported it. So 5-10 years, I see things like it becomes so much harder for scammers to utilize all these little touch points along the way to defraud or victimize somebody. I see if financial institutions if the ones that we're talking to and the networks that we're about to be a part of join forces, I mean, we're talking to not just banks, but crypto exchanges and money networks, even internationally. If we all were coming together in a network like NFEIN, we could share data so quickly that now everyone is, say, 90 days lead time. So instead of playing catch up like we do, now we're moving the needle further and further to the left. So I see that being a huge impact. And then on the Seraph side, it would just be so much more difficult for scammers to get into someone's life or their computer or device if people had it. So as we partner with more banks and more people hear about it, I just think it'll be that much harder for scammers to exploit. And then really long term, yeah, exactly. Ian has been cooking up some ideas and talking to some big. Hey, it could be. Sometimes it feels like a pipe dream, but I think you have to chase a few of those. As an entrepreneur, I kind of think. So, do you know the Magic School Bus?
The show.
Miss Frizzle used to say to take chances, make mistakes, and get messy, and that's also been a really big part of how I think about life. And well, of course, you don't want to always take mistakes and get messy in every part of business. So the way I kind of think about it is like, okay, we got a core part of what we're doing and we're doing really well. But I think it's fair to have like one or two areas, kind of like exploratory areas. And so Ian's working on some like just really big, if he pulled it off, and if the things fall into place, it would potentially be things like protecting an entire country or protecting countries from scammers and being able to utilize our tech and some other tech. And I think that would have just such a tremendous impact on being able to protect people. So I know that was pretty vague because I can't share the details.
Right. No, I like it. I love the idea of imagining a day where people aren't getting taken advantage of like that, right? Yeah. Like where just the technology exists to stop it before it happens. And that to me is so encouraging. It's like in some of these ways around trafficking, we look at like how do we make sure like no hotel could ever be used for trafficking, or no bank account could ever be used for scamming. Like it just could be free of that stuff.
That'd be great.
So encouraged by the work that you guys are on. I love that you guys are just on mission to do. We always say at Eagle, a talented team on a redemptive mission, fighting in a battle that matters. And there is nothing in the world like being on a team where you're fighting for something. You're on mission together, fighting to make an impact that actually matters. The last thing I want to ask you for one last story, if you would.
Sure.
Is there like one story of a person you guys have helped that you could share?
Oh gosh, there's so many.
Yeah. I mean, just one kind of that sticks in your mind. That's like this. Whenever I'm having a hard day, and I saw people just get totally taken advantage of, or I just felt like the tech was going to fail. I go back to this story, and it kind of grounds me in. We're fighting for her.
Like this is who we fight for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the first one that came to mind, and there's a lot of stories. As a gentleman, Edwin was his name. I think of the short story. He was taking care of his wife who had Parkinson's, which is a rough
brutal
disease. And brutal is better than rough. Well, your description was much better. So for a couple of years, he was taking care of his, dying wife, and they loved the Harry Potter series. So they were on Facebook, and they reached out to who they thought was Emma Watson, or Hermione.
Yeah.
And started a pen pal friendship. Of course, you probably already know where this is going. This was not the real actress. This was a scammer. And for 2 years, this guy didn't scam them. He just would talk because he knew that she was going to die. And I bring this up. I just I cried and I cried and I cried when I initially talked to this gentleman because it wasn't until his wife had passed away that the scammer went in for the kill. Basically,
he knew the insurance claim, the life.
He knew. Well, it was that, and that he could take advantage of his loneliness and his weakness. And he told me, he said, "Kit, my wife said that she gave me permission to continue to talking to her. He's an older guy, but I don't want you to be alone. After I pass away, it's okay to keep talking to her." And so at that point, the scammer pounced, said I've had feelings for you this whole time, and all this stuff, and what if we started a life together? I could keep, we could, and just took everything from this guy. Now we couldn't, sorry, not everything. So I should qualify. We were able to intervene, and we through some of the work we're doing with the bots and going after scammers on the network intelligence side, we got wind of this scam. And so we were able to intervene and tell him that he was being scammed. And that's how we heard this story. So we stopped him from wiring his life savings but he had been, he had lost a significant amount, but there was more, to be had. Take. So I just bring that, sometimes I just think about, there's so many lonely, vulnerable people, and Edwin was such a nice guy. He just wanted to talk and share his story, and the scammers are taking advantage of it every day. And so, it was great to be a part of helping him, but it also is something that we think about quite a bit about, how do we help more Edwins? How do we prevent more people from going through something like that?
Bro, so thankful you guys are doing it. I mean, it's just, you're the guy who said, someone needs to stand in this freaking gap for these people, and we're going to do it. And my guess is you found lots of people like Ian and some of your colleagues that are like, we're going to do it with you. It's game time. This needs to stop. So encouraged. If someone has listened to this podcast, the few of you that are out there participating, what's the next step for them? A call to action. If they want to learn more about your work, share the YouTube channel. If they want to know how they could get Seraph Secure on their computer, where did they go? Sometimes you have to spell it out.
Yeah. Okay. Gosh, I think most of it is on kitboga.com. Kitboga. I'll literally spell it out. Seraph Secure, NFEIN is the fraud intelligence network. Particularly if there is someone listening, I mean, one of the big things that we're having so much impact in is if you are in financial institutions or financial institution adjacent, crypto exchange, wealth advisor, anything like that. We've been partnering and working with a lot of those people to have tremendous impact. And so I always mention it, hey, if that's you, or if you're in law enforcement or law enforcement adjacent, we've been having really big impact there. So
So is the thing, go
reach
to
out.
like seraphsecure.com
Sorry.
and do the contact page, or like where's
Sure.
or kitboga.com?
It's tricky because there's so many, there's like a couple different things. I would say, probably seraphsecure.com, or if you want to, hello@seraphsecure.com. I think it's okay to say the email.
Yeah. Great.
Sure.
No, that's awesome. I want people to have a solution like, hey, if you're dealing with this, like,
reach out.
take action, because you could also be one of those people that doesn't just sit and watch your relative, your friend, your partner get stuck to. You could actually be one of the people who actually sees the change and is a part of making the change. So, dude, thank you so much for the time on the podcast. I appreciate it today.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed hearing about your story and just hearing about you. I think, a lot of times an influencer becomes a person over here, and then there's the real person over here, and like why they do, how they got involved. So thanks just sharing a little bit about your story. I appreciate it.
No, I'm glad to, and I appreciate you guys too. Ian actually is who originally connected us. And he knew about the work that you guys were doing, and it was it's been a neat. I shared this with Wes, and happy if you want to keep this in, it's fine. But just to know that there are groups like you guys out there that want to financially back mission-minded, like big projects like this was such an encouraging thing, because we had talked to some other groups, but the vibe that we got from them was it was much more, well, how can you extract as much money as possible from your idea? And it's not to say that like there's no financial upside here, but the core mission for us, and I think a lot of the people that you work with, is like, we want to have impact. We want to go to the darkest place of the forest and turn it to light. And like, of course you need money and but you get where I'm going with this. So it was a breath of fresh air to talk to you guys. And I'm, really, really glad to have met you guys.
Dude, well, we're excited to see where it's going, man. It's an encouraging season.